Welcome to Single Tree Nation. I'm your man, Charlie Eblin, the host and owner of Single Tree Woodfire Barbecue. We are here to build community through undeniable hospitality, storytelling, and the perfect plate of barbecue. Welcome back to another episode of Single Tree Nation. As always, I got my man Derry with us.
What's up, y'all?
We have a very, very special guest, our friend, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Matt Wampler. Welcome, my friend.
I'm glad to be here. I've been called special my whole life. I think it's usually in a different context. Than that.
I don't know if I would.
Charlie, we got to talk about this intro music. How do we feel about getting some banjo in there?
Some banjo. I had a...
Yeah, tell him about how you came up with that. Your baby of a music being born.
I have a friend of mine named Tim Hill who we're going to have on the show here probably in the next month or so. So Tim is a music producer. And he comes into the restaurant, a couple months ago, and he's talking to me about podcasting, and he says, "Hey, that's what I do for a living. Like I can help you with that." And I said, "What? You don't like my intro?" And he goes, "Well, I mean, I can make something for you if you want it more customized, it's like yours." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, sure." So he comes back a week later and says, "Well, give me an idea of what you want so I can put it together." I said, "Okay, so think Johnny Cash meets Eminem meets ESPN." And that's what he came up with. Next week, I had a brand new intro.
I'm still stuck on trying to put Johnny Cash, Eminem, and all of that together.
I know.
I'm just jealous that I didn't get a chance to get my banjo intro in there.
I think I think we might have to figure out something. So I sent the intro to Matt and some other friends of ours,
okay.
Troy and Jason Berkowitz and Sean Walshuffen. And about 3 minutes into this text message, Matt is sending us a video with him playing a banjo.
Oh,
saying that this needed to be added to it.
That does need to happen.
Yeah.
Now that there's a personal flair.
It's a prop that I guess has been in my basement for the last 10 years, and I don't think I've picked it up in 10 years. I'm like, I found a reason to get the banjo out.
That's fantastic.
It was a good one.
That's a great reason.
It was. All right.
Well, guys,
Matt, why don't you take about 30, 60 seconds like we do on Clubhouse every week, not Clubhouse anymore, but LinkedIn now, and tell the world who you are, what you do, and why you decided to join our wonderful faces today.
Well, first off, thank you for having me. Yeah, my name's Matt Wampler. I'm an ex-restaurant operator, spent about a decade in the industry, and now I've moved on to the tech side of things, where I'm the CEO over at Clear Cogs, where our mission is to get restaurants out of managing the metrics and spending their time on the cold analytics of the business, and instead be able to focus more on what you do, create community, engage with your customers. And, it's all about how do we thoughtfully implement, some of this modern technology like AI into restaurant operations so we can all just live a little less stressful.
I love it. Now, Derry has been working on his master's the last week or two since I told him you were coming to join us.
Side note, I am not working on my master's. I don't want somebody to take that and run with that. Like, I didn't know. Like, sorry, because
his master's of research.
I could see that text coming through. Like, well, hang on a second. Charlie got excited.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna let Derry start us off and kind of roll into some of our conversational points. We have a couple of different segments that we go through, and then we'll get to one in a little while that I'm going to throw a curveball for everybody. But we'll just kind of roll right into it. We know what you're currently doing, but I definitely want to know more about what you used to do.
I've got questions. I definitely do. So first, I'm glad you brought up the AI part of restaurant management, if you will. I am a high school teacher, and there are lots of ways that we obviously are seeing AI implement into our, I'm not gonna say daily routine yet. I mean, I've had to figure out ways to like check papers that are turned in and whatnot and that kind of stuff. So with AI being so prominent, how does that factor into what, not only what you guys do, but become a focal point in making sure that the restaurant, like you said, is not just here's the metric, here's what we got to meet, and what are we going to do using that to go forward, and hopefully using Clear Cogs with that and being able to pull that all together.
So the dirty little secret is this, machine learning's been implemented in tons of different technologies for years now. You just haven't known about it. I think the biggest thing that we're seeing right now is it all comes down to trust. And, before, if I told you, great, we can crunch the numbers and moneyball this so that you are 86ing items less often and you're, wasting less food. They're like, that doesn't make sense. That's not going to happen. Now you can say, hey, we're using AI to do it. And all of a sudden there's a little bit more trust there. They're familiar with ChatGPT. They've heard about this. They're almost excited to see how it can improve their lives. And so it's that societal flip of, their perspective on it that I think has been the biggest change.
Is that younger restaurateurs, if you will, are they more apt to bringing that on? Is there a generational gap there, or is that strictly just who feels good about it versus who doesn't?
I thought it would be, but it's actually not. It's and a lot of times it's the senior leadership that them. They're the guys that are like, back in my day, we used to know all of these numbers, and the kids today, they just don't know how to do it as well.
Pick me. Pick me.
That's everyone's attitude, right? And it's true to some extent. The industry post-COVID has lost a lot of wonderful people that had a lot of institutional knowledge, and now people are having to try and figure out, how are we going to bring in technology to replicate our best managers? So a lot of times it's those older guys. It's like, yeah, if you can digitally clone how I think about things and make this a system that we can just use, yeah, we're in.
Matt, you are a genius when it comes to the technology side of all the things that, I use your product in my restaurant as well. Probably not to the extent that I should, but it definitely has helped me a ton, right? How do you feel? One of the things that I say all the time, as well as I say it, I'm huge on the hospitality side of business in general, not just restaurants, but all business. I think should be extremely hospitable to start with. How do you think that the AI is taking away from that? Because one of the things that I feel pretty strongly about is, as a senior leader, and I say that meaning a veteran of the hospitality industry, not that I'm a senior by any means, Derry.
Borderline.
You're older than I. I just look it. We did a very poor job teaching younger leadership about hospitality, right? About how to lead people in a better way, right? So, how do you feel like your vision and the mission of Clear Cogs is making that impact to not eliminate hospitality, but to make it better?
What is it that you love about hospitality?
The feel good.
What makes you feel good?
Somebody being nice to me.
Interacting with people.
Right.
Staff,
Yeah. Just
customers.
Yeah. To break it down into simplest forms, right? When, you think about growing up as a kid and having dinner with the family and, big gatherings and just that camaraderie and fellowship and having conversations and, and the pleases and the thank yous and, grandma bringing out the ice cream and cake at the end of the meal, whatever it may be, right?
Unless you were the one cousin that got up at the wrong time.
Yeah,
and had to refill everybody's drink. You're like, hey, because that happened. My cousin David was that guy. Like, we would wait till he stood up. I'm like, oh, Dave, like everybody needs a refill. Sorry, that was had to.
So I asked this question to a lot of restaurant operators, and not once have I ever said, I got into this because I love managing a P&L and I love reviewing variance reports. And, inventory is my favorite day of the week. The fact of the matter is, hospitality is about those moments, it's about creating that magic. And, that's why people get into it. And something that I feel very passionate about is this: the people that are great at the hospitality side, creating those magical moments, are not the ones that are doing the best. The ones that are doing the best are the McDonald's of the worlds that have mastered the cold analytics of the business. And
Right.
so, when I think about AI in restaurants, it has the best implementations of it you are not aware of. You as a customer should never see it. It should be doing the cold analytics in the background, freeing you up to spend more time with your staff, more time with your customers, and creating that magic.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I think, I think there's very few people that know outside of the ones that I tell all the time, but just from the guest walking in, know that I even use your product or that I even know who you are for that matter. Right.
I think here's the other crazy one. When we work with larger brands, the people that use our product don't really know where the numbers come from. They just get their daily cheat sheet with the
Yeah.
numbers they need that,
Right.
I need 2 dozen everything bagels. And, it's about thoughtfully implementing this kind of technology. It's about making it easier to use than to not use. And so simple that, I intuitively know exactly what I'm supposed to do.
So one of the things that I Derry had it on his cheat sheet, and I'll skip to it just because it's probably one of the biggest things that I got excited about when you asked me to sit down and chat for a little while today was, you started, you got into restaurant ownership yourself.
Yes, sir.
And how did you go from operating? Because you were a pretty young fella owning a couple of restaurants, right?
I was.
How old were you when you first bought your first restaurant?
I was 22, just
20.
literally 6 weeks out of college.
It's incredible, man. It's
I know when I was
absolutely
yeah.
incredible.
22 and it was not owning a restaurant.
Right.
Jeez.
Right.
And,
I've got to. I'm gonna
you
step
find
on
the guy
toes here.
that's got a big enough problem and needs to get out of his lease, and you can find a 22-year-old Patsy that's willing to roll the dice.
Speaking of that problem, I'm reading some of your history while I'm delving into learning about you. And did I read right? There were ice buckets on a condenser or something to keep it from overheating?
Yeah, I mean, it's the classic story, right? So we closed on the deal, soft closed 3 months before. So you show up and they've got this thing, they've run it into the ground for the last 3 months. The air conditioning's out and it's August, right? So the place is 110 degrees and they don't care. The grease trap's overflowing, and literally the cold tables kept overheating. So they take buckets of ice and they put them on top of the compressors just to keep the compressors from overheating and blowing. I think there was like 3 employees at this time. It was utter chaos, and I think I had 5 weeks to get it ready for the college semester that was about to start. So it was just utter chaos. I watched The Bear and literally turned it off twice. Finally, the third time I went to go watch it, I could get through it because that was my life. Except I wasn't a Michelin star chef. I was a delinquent college kid that had no business running a restaurant.
But you did it.
I did.
I just want to say I've never been in the restaurant, or I've never even worked in a restaurant. The phrase "you can smell the grease trap" hits anyone. I was at a restaurant when a friend one time spilled part of a grease trap like on their interior part of their leg, and they were like, "I'm going home." I was like, "It can't be that bad." I was like, "Get away! That
it's
is
awful.
awful."
Yeah.
That phrase, "you could smell the grease trap when you walk in," that just between that and the ice on the condenser, that's what got me.
I'll tell you my recent story about a grease trap.
Please do.
So I'm in a restaurant. I won't disclose what restaurant it was, but I'm in a restaurant, and all the drains in the restaurant are backing up. Every drain we had was backing up. And I asked, anybody ever called a plumber? No. Okay.
I know where this is going.
So
Please tell me I don't know where this is going.
no, you don't know where it's going.
I
So I'll make it short. I called a plumber. The drains were so backed up and the grease trap hadn't been pumped in so long that there wasn't a grease trap pumping service that had a record of this building
oh my gosh.
on file.
Oh my gosh.
So I asked one of the neighbors, and it had been at least 12 years since this grease trap had been pumped. And it took them the entire day, about 8 hours, to pump because they had to break it all up. And then, you know, one guy had to actually get down in there. It was not fun. But yeah, that's my grease trap story. You don't want to do that. So,
All right. So why we're on the subject of drains. So I took over, I'm like 22. 6 months later, I haven't had a day off. I'm working 100 hours a week, have been for the last 6 months. I lost 30 pounds in the first 30 days. We're shut down for Christmas Day and Christmas. And so like I get to have 2 days off. We do a half day on Christmas Eve. I walk in on Christmas Eve and the entire store is 2 inches under of water.
Oh.
Something one of the drains is backed up. It's like this is supposed to be my first day off, and our drain's backed up, and it just totally. And luckily, I had my local plumber guy who came out on Christmas Eve and snaked the whole thing. So I got my 1 day off, but I just remember that moment of like walking in, like you're so close to getting a good night's sleep, and having a little break, and like the thing's underwater. And that is probably the best analogy for running a restaurant.
It is. Yeah. You're right there. It's within grasp. Nope.
It was written on the calendar. Like, here we go.
Yeah, for sure. I love it. So how did you go from restaurant ownership to technology and building out an AI platform for Clear Cogs?
I couldn't help myself. Is probably the long and short of it.
Can I intervene right here? Because here's part of what you spoke about when it came to the hospitality was serving people. It feels like to me, again, this is the outsider who has no clue. Y'all could talk a whole nother language and I wouldn't know it. The outsider, for me, it looks like you became the guy who, instead of serving a customer base through restaurant, you serve now a customer base through other restaurant operators, owners. And so you still get that joy of being able to bring the hospitality to those people, to serve them, hopefully allowing them to serve others better. And it's almost as if it's 2-tiered. So you get to see that joy double times over. And I liked that aspect. I caught a glimpse of that somewhere on your website, and I thought, man, that's awesome that he's still, like you say, you couldn't help yourself. You didn't have to step away from serving people, from bringing hospitality. You just changed your market a little bit and found a little groove for yourself.
Well, first off, I love restaurant people. I seriously, the hardest working, smartest, most caring individuals. And yeah, I must self-select at some point, but I don't run into too many restaurant people that I don't love. It's interesting. So the people that we get to build systems like this are not hospitality people by nature. And it is so important and so hard to distill that, hospitality mentality into a technology company. And it's something that we work every day to try and instill. I mean, we just got Unreasonable Hospitality for the entire team to go read because, I found that to be just such an incredible book with an incredible message. And, it really speaks to what hospitality is all about. And, something that I think a lot of tech companies are trying to figure out is how do we instill that and have digital hospitality?
Matt, I got a question. You obviously stay quite busy with what you're doing with Clear Cogs. I would still call it a young company. I don't know what the definition of that is in the business world, but you got any current side projects going on, stuff that kind of you're dabbling in or wanting to develop in other places, or is everything clearly now just Clear Cogs?
It's all Clear Cogs. I mean, we're a full-time staff at 10. My day is insane, and it's I there's lots of things I would love to pursue, but we even within Clear Cogs, there's a lot of things we'd like to pursue. But doing things right means doing one thing and doing it incredibly well. So we focus on just this one piece. How do I get you that one magic number, for your briskets or, cornbread, or how much bread to bake? So that when you get it right, you're adding percentage points to the bottom line. And that's it, right? There's a million things that we're going to do in the future. There's a million things that I want to do, but right now that is our sole focus.
I love it. I love it.
Man's dedicated.
Left field time. Nobody in the room knows that I'm going to ask this question, but I was fumbling through a podcast interview or something and something popped up on the screen, and the question just kind of hit me, and I really liked it. So, Matt, I'm going to start with you. Let you answer this first, but what is the biggest lie you were ever told?
Okay. I'm trying to find the exact words for how it was phrased, but something we're always told in the restaurants is that you can always outwork your way out of a problem, right? It's about execution. It's about, doing the little things right every day and you'll be successful. And I mean, I believed that, right? Like my first restaurant we went in, we turned it around because we did all those little things. But then you don't spend a lot of time actually long-term strategically thinking about, like, am I opening the right location at the right time? Or should I be opening this location? Maybe I should be acquiring a different one. Instead, it's like, oh no, that's the playbook. We're just going to go open more locations. And, this is where it's supposed to be. And so I think the biggest lie I was ever told is, just keep working really hard and spinning your wheels and you'll be successful. And I think as I've gotten a little bit older, I mean, there's a lot of truth to that, and grit is incredibly important. But also taking the time to evaluate what you're doing and why makes a big difference. I'd like to hear yours though, Charlie.
I'll let Derry go first.
I'll tell you what immediately came to mind. This is your parents, and I assume all parents do this. When you're driving at night, can't turn the dome light on because I can't see. What? They didn't want to be bothered by you digging for whatever it was. Because
Turn the damn light off.
I can't see. I want to go turn it on for a second. And so that's not.
Derry, I'm definitely telling my kids that still. So I'm not. I hope I'm not lying.
I drive a bus, and that light could be on, and I don't care that they're all going to hear this because I operate that switch with power. But can we leave the bus on or the light on? No, girls, I can't see.
See.
Lights off.
Lights off. Lights off.
So
I can't see.
not only is it the biggest lie I'm being told, I'm still telling it. So
Yeah.
anyway,
You've adapted.
that's right. See,
Yeah.
I grew it.
Oh,
More
man.
lights. So what's yours? Yeah, now we're on you.
Yeah. Oh man, the biggest lie that I was ever told, the hard work was probably one of them. That was instilled in me as a kid through and through. Like, just put your head down, work hard, you'll get through it, right? Somebody told me I was lucky one time.
Man.
That is where the hard work became true, right? The harder I work, the luckier I seem to get. But I think it is definitely business related in the fact of you can have the right location, you can have the right food, you can have the right service, you can have the right business plan, you can have all of the things. And there's still an X factor. And that X factor, you may have it, you may not have it, right? There's times that, it's just the universe flows people your direction, or
Sure.
flows them in a different direction. The weather changes, whatever it may be. Like there's things about restaurant business and business in general that, yeah, the hard work and the knowledge and always wanting to learn and always trying to get better. And it's why I try to get involved and ask for help and do all the things. And, you know, like Sean says all the time, and stay curious. But I think, if you're just working hard, you're going to lose. And it may not be, your business might be successful, right? I think the success is self-prevalent, right? You know, it's
Yeah.
self-defining, right? You know, I told somebody the other day that they asked me what my goal was for my company and my business. And I said, I want enough money to be able to tell everybody to off. That's what I want. But, and they were like, oh man, you know, I mean, you think you're going to be able to get 10, 20, 30 million like that? Well, that's what you need. I don't need that kind of money to tell everybody to go kiss my ass. I can do it a lot cheaper than that. A whole lot cheaper than that. it ain't that expensive for me. So, you know, I mean, the level of success
Next week's
is a
question:
totally
what's
different
Charlie's
question.
kiss my ass number for
Yeah. You know, so, you know, I mean, it's a good one. I think I don't know if the biggest lie has ever been that I've ever heard has been told to me yet. I think a lot of times in my career, I've seen through it.
The biggest lie that you've been told, such a good lie, you're not aware of it.
Right. Right.
But
Smooth.
I'm going to tack one on. So I have always pushed the envelope, like in everything I've ever done. And every time I've pushed it a little bit further, I've realized like there really aren't rules. Like society kind of tells you you can and can't do things. There really aren't rules. You can push the envelope, you can try different things. And I've seen a lot of benefits of that, right? That's how you actually get somewhere. So it's something I tell my kids all the time. It's like, you know, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Go out there and, you know, try something big. Go reach out to one of your inspirational leaders and just ask them if they have 10 minutes. There's no rule against that.
No.
What's they gonna do? Say no?
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know, I don't have, yeah. Because what if they say yes? That's always my no is not the big awful word we think it is.
No.
Most of the time, it's going to either okay, I'm going to double down and I'm still going to go after it, or I'm going to find a new avenue. I'm going to get there one way or another. Or if it does close a door, you're like, okay, now at least I'm no, and my options may be one fewer, but that's something I don't have to focus on now because that one has been taken care of. So I always think we have this tendency to overplay the word no and give it a lot more power sometimes than it has. I mean, especially in a world where, like Matt was saying, not everything is set, cut and dry rules. And here's this. Well, take off, go for it, see what's got. I mean, worst thing they may do is say no.
Well, let me throw it back to you guys. What's the greatest truth you've ever heard?
The gospel of Jesus Christ. That one's easy for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. It's not where my brain first went.
No, that's right where mine went.
I know. I could have guessed that.
Yep.
I would tell you that family is everything. I think without and for me, my truth, right, that's been told to me is my family has never wavered from pushing me to the next level. Like you said, you know, go try things that you never thought you would do or could do. Always expect more, always work for more, always strive to do more. Right. And without my grandfather, my father, my mother, her side of the family, my wife and kids, I don't think I'd be sitting here today.
Amen to that.
Yeah. What about you?
You know, I tend to think, I heard this one time, perception is reality. So however we perceive the world is the world we live in. And it comes down to like, you can control how you perceive events in your life and can control that narrative.
I love it. I love it. I think it's time for mac or beans.
Mac or beans? All right.
Is it time for
Did
mac
you
or
have
beans?
one also?
I do, but mine's going to be last.
Okay.
It's included in the mac or beans segment. So Matt, and we started a segment called Mac or Beans. Okay. And it's a this or that segment. Okay. Obviously the first question is, would you rather have macaroni and cheese or smoked beans?
Macaroni and cheese.
Mac and cheese.
That's going to be the clubhouse leader. I feel like it
Mac
will
and
be.
cheese.
By
Point
the way,
one.
I saw a little Instagram reel of some homemade kitchen artist, whatever. I'm not doing this person enough credit. That's awful. I know it sounds it. This mac and cheese, I could taste, and the dish was coming through the screen. Now, that may have been the me who hasn't had macaroni and cheese or anything since 2023.
You are on a diet.
I'm talking, it looked insanely good. Like, it was phenomenal looking.
Have you ever done 75 hard, Matt?
I don't even know what 75 hard is.
Jeez, look, we'll have to talk offline, but you have to be somewhat insane to do 75 hard. So it's real quick. It's 75 days.
75 days.
It's more of a mental program than it is anything else, but you have to have a diet. I don't think there's really restrictions on what that diet is.
There's
but
not.
It has to, you have to stick to whatever that diet is
No
for
cheat
75
meals,
days.
no anything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
2 workouts of an hour long,
45 minutes.
45 minutes each day. So,
But one of them must be outside.
yeah, one has to be outside. Gallon of water.
Yep.
10 pages out of
A nonfiction, self-help, make you better kind of book.
and then take a picture.
A progress picture every single day.
And,
No alcohol.
And then no alcohol and weigh yourself once a week, maybe?
No, you don't have to do that.
No, you don't have to do that.
I just choose
I
to
just
do
made that
one.
up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think I check almost all of those boxes naturally, except for the no alcohol thing. That would be.
You work out twice a day?
Well, it's perception's reality.
I see what you did there.
Love it.
Yeah.
Walking the dog count?
Yeah.
Technically?
It's a mile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
There
All
are
right,
no-
so this or that.
He got that one.
Mac or
Macaroni
beans.
cheese. Mac or beans. I went
All right.
super simple, but I figured with 3 guys, like, somebody's going to have some logic on this one.
Conversation starter.
Mac or beans, Batman or Superman?
I never liked Superman. I mean, it's just he can't have that many things good going on. I'm totally for Batman.
I never liked Superman. It's not.
I love it. I love
Dude,
it.
he's got everything.
He does,
have
but
everything.
the reason it's Batman for me, and it's not even a close choice for myself, but it's that he chose not to stay beat down. My parents are dead, whatever. But then he doesn't have a true superhero factor as far he can't fly, can't see through, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But he has all the tech innovation that either money can buy or build. And I wonder, in a current status of America, what would Batman be able to develop on the verge of nanotechnology, AI, all these kinds of things? Like, to me, it's one of those things where he just keeps growing and it continues to make him stronger. And yet at the end of the day, he just is like 2 middle fingers to the world. See y'all. Bye. I'm going home.
Darian,
So-
I'm much more interested in when you say Batman. Which Batman are you thinking of?
Oh, see. All right. So I'm a sucker for Val Kilmer as Batman.
Oh, you. Okay.
And I know that's one of those, that's like me saying, okay, look,
Man, you just lost respect.
I know.
What's that the kids say now? That's dog water. No cap.
But I will tell you this. I think part of that is rooted in just where I was when those days came out. But if I have to watch Batman and my mind is just emptied, who was the one that played it the most recently? Like Dark Knight and stuff.
Christian Bale,
Yeah,
maybe?
Christian
Bale. That is the one that personifies Batman the most for me. I personally have this, I remember as a teenager, Val Kilmer. But Christian Bale, like he does something when
He
he
did
walks
it.
in the
He
room.
did it,
He
right?
did it, yeah. So
I would agree with that.
Val Kilmer was right in that.
Matt's like, why don't ever have this guy on with me again? Like I can't.
No, that was the Poison Ivy, Iceman. Yeah,
yes.
Arnold Schwarzenegger in there. It's fair.
Look, I mean, I can understand where you're coming from. Not my favorite.
I maybe shouldn't have jumped out on the favorite so hard. But there's a nostalgia thing for me there.
But it's yours.
It's not wrong. It's mine.
No,
That's right.
it's yours.
Perception is reality.
Perception is reality.
I'm going to drop that at school tomorrow, and some kid's going to be like, what? I'm like, look it up.
Listen to the show next week. So I, as a kid, I was a Superman guy. As a kid.
Okay.
Because I thought Batman was a little hokey. Like Superman wasn't hokey, right? Guy can fly around. As an adult, I'm much more of a Batman guy, and the question I have really is not what era of Batman, but is there anybody alive today that you could say that's Batman? I think
Elon Musk can have a chance.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. By the way, did you see what Neuralink posted on Monday?
No.
Their first human implant in a person's brain is fully functioning and working, and this dude is controlling a mouse tool just by thinking, sitting there in front of the machine. It's wild. I mean, like the little thing that sits behind the ear is about the size of a quarter. It's just a hair thicker, and he's controlling the computer mouse with that, and
with his brain,
just thinking, and it's wild. And I just. But yeah, Elon Musk, I think, would be today's Batman. Again,
he might be today's Batman.
He might be Batman.
Might be.
So
I like to picture that room with, whatever, 30 doctors all watching, and, the thing moves around in a circle, and they're like, you meant to do it in a circle, right? That's exactly what I would do.
Right. Yeah, of course. Yes. Yes.
I'm totally moving it to the left right now on purpose.
Right. What's your opinion on that? You're a tech guy. Like, do you think we are jumping too far ahead too fast? I mean, look, as a kid, we didn't have cell phones. Right. So like there wasn't the internet,
which makes
us
for me a very unique generation, because we remember that time without it, but we also remember time where now it's so productive.
Oh, I mean, yours is right there. Mine's here. Matt's probably on his laptop and got his phone sitting right there too.
Up,
right.
Yeah. So,
but I mean, it as a tech guy, somebody that is in the IT and AI field, do you think we're going too far too fast?
Well, let's get something straight. I'm not the guy that's building any of the AI models. That would be a scary, scary thing. I get to talk to the restaurant guys to understand they need to know the brisket, and they need to know it the day in advance, and it's only good for a day. And we put some of the brisket in the beans. Look, I'll say this. I'm not the smartest person in the world. I think we've got a great team. They're not, it's not like we went and got Elon Musk on our team. And we've been able to do extraordinary things with it. It has become really easy to build things. And, there are always going to be bad actors. And so, something that we talk about regularly, it's not going to be long before I'm getting a phone call from my wife with my wife's sounding voice that's not her asking for my credit card number, and that's going to be, I already get the fake phone calls from somebody's phone that, I know the number, but it's not them. So if I'm able to spoof a call and use the audio from this podcast to train an algorithm, that's kind of like where we're at today. And I'm surprised we're not seeing more of it. I think that's a little bit scary, but with any of these big advancements, there's always going to be growing pains. And, there's going to be we're going to crack some eggs as we walk into the future.
Right. All right. I got one more this or that. Mac or beans?
Mac or beans, baby.
I got it right.
You did.
What is more dangerous? One that is not afraid to die, or one that has found everything to live for?
Oh, one that's found everything to live for.
Why?
Oh, one of them is going to be active in their sense of, going to do something, right? Like they have a mission driven purpose to get something accomplished. So as long as you don't get in the way of that, I think you're okay. The person that, is okay with dying is a little less proactive. They're, if I'm hearing the question correctly.
I love it. I love it.
I'm going to go opposite. I'm going to say the person that's not afraid of dying. With the caveat, though, that he is pursuing things that if he died, he knows that he was in pursuit of that strength, that whatever it was. And I think there's an element there that says that this person is just like not to be messed around with. It's going to be like he will win at all costs because he's not afraid to give it all to get what he deems necessary. So
yeah, it depends on the mission, right?
It depends on the mission.
Like for me, for you guys, my mission is pretty simple, and it's to leave a legacy for my kids to continue to grow our brand. And when I say our brand, not Single Tree, not the restaurant, but our legacy of building and helping grow community and leaving and making a meaningful impact in our community, right? How did we live our lives for the betterment of others in our community? And if you go for it.
Oh, I don't know how we've gotten over to your brand. I was imagining like an active shooter situation, and is the person going to rush him or not? Like that?
But like he said, it depends on the scenario.
Depends on the
in
mission.
that situation, I'm going with the guy that thinks he's got everything to live for because he is going to protect at all costs.
He's going to make it happen. Yeah.
So
no, that's a good one. Yeah,
I like it. Yeah. I'm over here on brand. I'm over here. Nope, it's going down.
I'll be behind the guy that's not afraid to die.
That's right.
I'll be standing next to the guy that has everything to live for.
I'll bull rush with you. You go first.
Right. Yeah. After you. Yeah.
I'll hold the door right behind you, bro. Let's go.
I love it. Oh, Lord. All right. What's next on what else we got on the list here? I know we had some things we were chit-chatting about.
One thing I wanted to go all the way back with Matt was the restaurant you took over, you changed that thing forward, and you kind of touched on this of when is the time to buy, expand, do this or that. Ultimately, I want to know the time frame with which you got to how many stores, and what were some of the factors that you thought were okay. If I meet this goal, if I meet this criteria, we can go ahead and expand to that next thing.
Well, going back to not being as thoughtful when I was young, I'm not sure there was a lot of thought around the criteria so much as shiny object. I think this would be a great place to open another store. Why not?
Okay.
But let's put it in context. So, I listened to Charlie talk about this, being all in, right? Like failure is not an option. That was the situation I found myself in. I mean, I remember, so I opened up my first store. I think within 24 months, I had opened up my second. We turned it around. The first location took it from doing 400,000 to 1.2 million over the next 18 months. That was enough to fuel the, enough cash flow to basically go open up, a second unit. And I remember I signed a lease. We go through this whole thing. Final walkthrough, the inspector comes through and goes, yeah, we messed up some things here. We're going to need to move the entire wall back. Like, I have no money. I'm like, 23 years old. It's like, well, that's just not going to work. Like, I'm supposed to be open in 2 weeks, and I got a bank note to pay and the lease to pay. And like, failure was not an option. I remember having the conversation with my wife. I'm like, I'm going down to the city with the contractor, and honey, one of two things is going to happen. They're going to approve this thing, or they're going to put me in prison. Because at least, if they throw me in jail, it'll make a hell of a news story. County puts young entrepreneur under. I swear to God, they escorted me out, yelling with security by the end of it. And like finally, the director came out and said, "What in the hell's going on?" And it was like, Nish, like, I've emailed you like over and over again, like, we've been behind on this, and like now all of a sudden they're saying I need to move my wall back. And like, I'm going to go out of business if we don't get this fixed. And he's like, we'll have somebody out there tomorrow. It's going to be okay. And it got fixed. But like, you only get there when it's do or die, back like failure was not an option. And so, we opened up the second and third location 10 months apart. And those were the last two new stores I opened because they opened low. And, if there's one thing about restaurants, the hardest thing to manage is not your biggest high volume operation. It is the low volume ones because every penny matters. You can't throw labor at the problems. And so I spent the next 2 years working out of those two locations to get them up to stop losing money. And then from there, bought existing ones and finally got to the point where I had, young kids and, was working 90 hours a week. And it was just one of those, I thought, hey, this is a great opportunity. And I didn't love the area we were in. This is a great opportunity to take a step back in life, sell the business, went back and finished grad school and, reevaluate. I always thought I'd get back into restaurants and I always thought that I would go open more Jimmy John's just in a different market. And then life pulled me in a different direction.
How many units did you wind up with total?
5.
Before?
5.
5. Okay. Sounds good. And this was all mid 2010s. Is that right? Ish.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, look, I can read.
The man.
Making me go back and check my dates. I'm
I
waiting
love
for the
it.
factual inaccuracies. I'm sorry, Matt. I see this is 2018.
We're gonna fact check after this. We're gonna fact check. What's next on the horizon for Matt and Clear Cogs and in the short term? What do you have cooking?
I'm here to save you money. I mean, that's all we wake up thinking. It's how can I add another percentage point to Charlie's bottom line?
Man, that
And
makes me happy.
hey, it's just the truth. And we end up working with enterprise groups to build out true custom AI solutions, for their brands, based on all they're very complicated to set up and they're, incredibly effective. But at the end of the day, they have so much going for them. We really believe in democratizing AI. How do we get, these tools in the hands of, a small operator who really needs it? And so, I think the big thing on the horizon is we're a couple weeks away. We're launching in March on Toast's Marketplace. And, part of that is a free offering. And we are going to give out Clear Cogs. It's not the full system, but we've got some great reports, stock out analysis, looks like you ran out at this time. This is how much revenue you might have lost, helpful tools like that, menu item forecasting, along with some really cool Gen AI, imagery that hopefully will help you with marketing, but more than anything else, a fun way to be able to see the data in, a picture format. So like that's kind of some of the stuff that's on the horizon. And I'm excited, following, Charlie building in public, all of that, we're in the first innings of what this AI transition looks like. We want to take restaurants on a journey with us. Don't want to like give them the product today and that's it. It's, how can we be introducing the newest things to you so that you are staying relevant, and seeing it in your own operation?
I love it. I love it. That is outstanding. Well, Matt, I appreciate you hanging out with us. Every show, Derry caps off our show with his Friday feel good. So we're going to turn it over to Derry for our this week's Friday feel good.
And
what do you got for us, Derry?
It ties in actually really well from what the topic we hit earlier. I had a talk with a close friend of mine who's with the sheriff's office, and we were just kind of talking. He's asking me how 75 hard was going. And I told him like it was a Monday morning and I just did not want to do. And like, it's just a 45-minute walk. But I just up late Sunday, all the stuff, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he leans forward to me and he gets real close, like where you can, like, I can almost smell the dip, you know? And he says this, he goes, I've regretted plenty of times not going full speed, but I've never regretted giving it my all. And that is just something I think that a lot of us, when we do the part we don't want to do, we always feel so much better. We always are excited for that accomplishment. We're excited to, like, okay, I've got over this first hurdle, versus the regret and the, oh, hell, you know, whatever of I didn't do it, could have, should have, time caught up with me, whatever. And so that one has stuck with me for about 3 weeks now. I've been sitting on it. And so y'all mentioned something about just, you know, defeat is not an option. Keep moving forward. And that's what it is. I've regretted plenty of times not going full speed, but I've never regretted giving it my all. So that was,
I love it.
Jeremy Murdoch.
I love it. What's that Mike Tyson said? Do the things you hate, like doing the things you love.
Yep. That's the discipline. Yeah. That's his definition of discipline.
Yeah.
By the way, Mike Tyson has some great quotes.
He does.
He does. Yeah.
He also has an insane tolerance for mushrooms. What? You've never seen that video? Dude, he's on, I can't remember, he's on with one of the Paul brothers. And he's like, yeah, try that. And Logan Paul, whichever one it is, he's like, I don't know. And he goes, no, like this. And the man takes a handful and just, he's like, yeah. And he's like, oh my goodness. But also, he did that charity fight. Was it last year? The man still moves. If he could go do a fight right now. There's not a doubt in my mind. His weight class, the man is he's a different kind of guy. So,
well, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he bit a man's ear off. So, anyway.
Among other things.
Sorry.
Matt, man, I appreciate you joining us today.
Matt just watched the unravel happen. Here it goes.
I was just sitting here imagining the face tattoo on Charlie and thinking, you know, that's an interesting one.
Yeah,
that's what I need. There. You got it?
You can just fade right on down. That'd be great. Yeah. No, thank you.
Well, guys, thanks for having me. A lot of fun, man.
How can people find Matt or learn more about Clear Cogs?
Well, look, if you're one of those Toast customers, you get right on the marketplace, you click enable, and you're going to have Clear Cogs on your system. And you're going to get to watch it grow over time. For everybody else, you know, you can find us on our website, clearcogs.com. We're on all your social media sites. Follow us on LinkedIn. We love talking with restaurants. Nothing I enjoy more.
I love it. I love it. Again, thank you very much, Matt. We appreciate you. For everybody else, thanks for joining us again for another episode of Single Tree Nation and all of our shenanigans. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe to our channel. If you want to get involved and be a guest on our show, feel free to email me at Charlie, CHARLIE at singletreebbq.com, or you can give me a call at 615-307-0120. And until next week, we'll see you then. Thanks for joining us today. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, leave us a 5-star review and come see us at the restaurant.